Relocating from California to Pecos, Texas, meant trading a bustling state for this vast, isolated expanse. While the town looked empty, anonymity was non-existent. Inside these sunlit storefronts, gossip was a primary pastime, and residents were eager to broadcast any personal affair they could find. For an awkward 6-year-old, maintaining privacy was a necessity, especially when carrying a secret that was impossible to explain. This child was certain that the town was teeming with spirits, but knew that adults would dismiss the claim as an overactive imagination or the influence of frightening cinema. Without any adult guidance, the child faced these paranormal encounters alone, lacking the companionship needed to share such a strange burden. In a community that thrived on watching and talking, the narrator's only defense was a total, forced silence, keeping the invisible world separate from the prying eyes of the town. The entities encountered within the family's modest 2-bedroom apartment established a baseline for what to expect from the unseen. These spirits were merely transient, passing through the rooms without staying long enough to cause any lasting distress or discomfort. But when visiting neighbors, the atmosphere changed. Entities there would frequently lurk in the dark corners of the apartments. This spectrum shows how the child could categorize these figures, sensing immediately whether the entity was male or female, an adult or a child. Despite their presence, the child possessed the endurance to ignore them, simply acknowledging their quiet existence in the shadows. These residential hauntings were passive and manageable, defining the normal, tolerable boundaries of the narrator's daily life. That sense of control evaporated at Pecoskindergarten, a building that felt saturated with unseen entities from the moment one walked through the door. While the narrator's own classroom remained surprisingly clear, other rooms throughout the building were filled with spirits watching from hidden vantage points. These large communal areas were used for play rehearsals and presentations, but the students were never the only ones in attendance. The building's spiritual residents gathered in these zones, quietly observing the festivities alongside the living children. In the restroom near the primary office, the sensation of being watched became particularly heavy and persistent. The feeling of surveillance remained absolute, whether the facilities were crowded with classmates or occupied in complete solitude. Occasionally, shadowy apparitions would flicker at the edge of vision, their movements seemingly designed to capture the child's focus and assert their existence. Outside, a strange pole led toward the outdoor sandbox, where the spirit of a child seemed to linger. Because school rules strictly prohibited any students from playing there, that solitary entity was left to its own silent devices, a lonely parallel to the narrator's own isolation. Each afternoon at 3 p.m., departing the school grounds finally allowed that heavy atmosphere to dissipate. The spirits of Pecos never moved objects or manifested physically, yet the atmosphere was unmistakably heavy with their silent witness. It created a strange dichotomy, a town where the living talked endlessly, while the dead watched in absolute silence. Navigating these two extremes without a single confidant created a psychological weight far heavier than any ghost story. For a 6-year-old, the true burden isn't just the entities themselves. It's the realization that the haunting is real, yet the adult world will only ever meet it with universal skepticism.